Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper. And with a cold front coming through and likely bringing with it some extreme weather conditions, I thought it'd be a good time to remind everybody about the best way to stay warm during a winter power outage. And that's exactly what you see on the workbench right here. These are all Mr. Heater propane products, and I think they're the easiest thing to have on hand in case a power outage occurs and you rely on that heat source during winter conditions. And a lot of people do have electric heat, and that's a very bad situation if the power goes out. And even if you want to use electric appliances like space heaters or electric blankets, you still have to have a way to produce electricity to keep them running during those times. And none of the things you see here on the table actually require power to work. So that's why I find them to be very beneficial. Now, of course, I do want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel, and thanks to them, I can get out here, give you information like this, and help you get better prepared. And of course, everything we're going to talk about here can be found at Midway USA, so big thanks to them. Now, all of these Mr. Heater products work very well. I've used them quite often because I live in North Dakota, where I'm going to have negative 25-degree temperatures this weekend, and that's not including wind chill. So I definitely keep all this stuff on hand. Now, a big thing about this whole situation is that propane stores indefinitely. Once you get a 20-pound canister, or even the 1-pound canisters you see over here, you can stash them away and they'll last forever. So that's why I like propane so much, because logistically it's easy to manage. Now, here's what I have on the table to give you some ideas about affordable and easy to use appliances that will keep you warm as long as you're smart about how you use them. So first off, you have the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy that you see right here. Now, this particular unit will give you 6 hours of heat on the minimum heat level or low heat level, and that's on one 1-pound propane cylinder. Now, that is actually pretty good because 6 hours is a long time, and a 1-pound cylinder is exactly what you see right here. But right now I have it hooked up to a 20-pound propane tank. And what does that mean? That means that 20 pounds will last 5 days or 120 hours on low heat, which is what this is on right now, and the heat is substantial and it works very well. Now, in order to accommodate a 20-pound cylinder here, I needed to get the Mr. Heater propane hose adapter with the Acme nut. And that allowed me to connect the Mr. Heater Portable Buddy directly to the 20-pound propane tank. And now I have something that will last 5 days, keeping a small room well heated. And 5 days gets you pretty far in a power outage event. Now, these units are rated for indoor use as well as outdoor use, and they do have a lot of safety mechanisms built in. But regardless, I still recommend that you use some form of ventilation if possible, as well as having a carbon monoxide detector nearby just in case. But regardless, these are made to be used in small enclosed spaces. Now, this particular unit is supposed to be able to heat up to 200 square feet or a little bit more, and it puts out either 4,000 BTUs on the low level or 9,000 BTUs on the high level. So if you were to crank this up to high because you really needed that extra heat, well, you're going to cut your overall length of time you can use it for by about half. And so, of course, that goes from 5 days to like a little bit more than 2 days. And yes, that's still very good, but in an emergency, I'm going to try to stretch it out for as long as humanly possible. Now, this is a great option. It's a little more expensive than the one you see over here, but it's definitely worth it because it's versatile. When you hook it up to this particular tank, it gives you a lot of heat, and it's also very easy to move around. Regardless, if you need something smaller that could even be used somewhere as small as like a vehicle, so maybe not the worst thing to have in your vehicle if you're in these extreme weather conditions during the winter, well, I would check out the Mr. Heater Little Buddy, which is the one you see over here. Now, it works by directly threading onto a 1-pound propane cylinder. And it's very similar to the portable buddy you see right here in the sense that it also will last 6 hours on one 1-pound propane cylinder. So that's pretty good because, well, you know, that's a lot of heat, especially if you're in your vehicle or something like that. And then all you have to do is keep swapping out additional propane cylinders to keep it fed. Not the worst thing to do. Now, here's something else that you can do that makes this whole thing last a little bit longer and work a little bit more easy for you regarding logistics of storing propane. This right here is the refill tank adapter. And what this does is it actually allows you to refill these empty 1-pound propane cylinders with your 20-pound propane canister over here. You simply attach this to the 20-pound propane canister, screw this in, and it refills it in about 1 minute or less. So that's a good way to keep these things going and to keep using your little buddy Mr. Heater over here while storing your propane in mostly larger 20-pound canisters. which you can usually pick up at your local gas station, grocery store, or whatever it may be. And like I said, once you have some of these canisters stored away, you don't have to worry about them. They last forever and they work. And a lot of people have these already for their barbecue grills. So if you do have one for your barbecue, and then you have the little buddy from Mr. Heater over there, well, you can get your little adapter here and then refill your 1-pound propane tanks over and over again so that you can keep that thing working in an emergency to stay warm with. All right, and just so you know the stats on that particular heater, it does put out 4,000 BTUs, so the same as this one on low, and it also is supposed to fill about a 100 square foot room with heat. So it is a little bit smaller in regards to capability and capacity, but it also is extremely portable and works quite well, and I use it quite often, even when I'm just working at my desk because, well, I basically live in the garage. So this to me is the best way to stay warm in the winter during a power outage. Hands down, it's the easiest fuel to store because wood takes up a lot of space and can be expensive and hard to acquire depending on where you live. And of course, we also know that electricity is hard to come by, and storing up gasoline for generators or trying to use a solar generator in extreme weather conditions like negative 25 degrees is very difficult. So that all creates a lot of obstacles, whereas this is just very simple, and these are also rated for indoor use, which also is a big benefit. Like I said, I would still increase some of my safety practices around that, but technically you should be good to go. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this, but I just don't think there's an easier way to stay warm during a winter power outage. And I think that for the cost of these units, which is somewhere around 120 bucks here and maybe around 80 to 100 bucks over here, I mean, that is definitely worth having on hand just in case purposes, even if you never intend to use them. So let me know in the comments below what other ways you think are good for warming yourself during a power outage in the winter, especially with these really extreme temperatures that we're all facing. And besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.